Okay, welcome everybody. It is Maree here from Skeinz. You're with the Skeinz Diaries. Today is day 9, I think. And it is the 15th of June. I'm really sorry about Thursday, everybody. As you can hear, I'm a little bit snuffly. The joys of the kids returning back to school, common cold, but that's okay. I've got the wonderful Lisa here from Rural Women, who I promised I would have for you on Thursday, but I have her today. And I've been itching to talk to you guys for a while. A good friend of mine is a very active member of Rural Women, and I just love what you guys do. So tell us about Rural Women, because I know I have a heap of Rural Women that watch and they may not know who you are, and I'd love to get you guys together. So tell us all about it.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So Rural Women New Zealand is nearly a century old as an organisation. It started back in 1925 when a group of women who were accompanying their husbands to a farmers' union meeting discovered that they shared the same concerns and issues around isolation, access to support. So they formed an organisation to become their support and address their issues. And that started off as the Women's Division of Farmers Union, which later became the Federated Farmers. And then as time went on, the Women's Division of Federated Farmers separated away and became its own organisation, Rural Women New Zealand, in 1999. So we are a membership organisation with members all over the country. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of heritage and history in our organisation. The organisation exists to do exactly what it did 100 years ago, which is support rural women and their families and their communities. And we do that in a variety of ways. We have a charitable arm. We have a long sought after and experienced voice. We make a lot of submissions on policies. We also joined together for friendship and networking, addressing that isolation of many years ago. And we also look to nurture and support rural women in business. And we do that through our business awards, which we've got on at the moment. So if anyone would like more information about entering our business awards, please let us know.
So, and I mean, that was something that I didn't realise that it had actually come out of Federated Farmers. So like when I grew up, Rural Women was something, I was saying to Lisa off air before, and I know a number in here know this, but many may not. I grew up on a very isolated sheep and cattle station. So I understand a lot of the elements that, that you're talking about. But like for us, where I grew up, it was CWI. So that was, sort of the dominant organisation, but I'm seeing now more and more involvement with rural women. And do you think it's because that you have that CWI's, is very traditional? I mean, that's been around for hundreds of years, seeded from the UK, and it has all those homemaking elements. But yours seems to have more of a professional element to it, because a lot of these women are actively involved in the business running of the farms, and they're also running businesses themselves. So talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's one of the things that I really noticed too. Is the friend of mine that's a member, she's an accountant and has a lot of rural clients. So there is definitely a lot more there than just homemaking, which is what some people may consider it. It's not that at all.
I think that the organisation's really changed with the times. Yeah. So I think originally it sprung out of that being the support on the farm. And in those days, most rural enterprises were farms. But now things have diversified a huge amount. So we've got members who are horticulturalists. We have a lot of members who are running their own small businesses from their lifestyle blocks. So it has morphed over time to reflect the change in society in that time. I also think that we're very lucky to have the benefit of some really amazingly well-skilled members who really know their stuff, and they are smart, capable, articulate women who have been able to put forward a rural woman's voice over many years.
Yeah, and there are actually really unique challenges, and I'm so glad you just mentioned lifestyle blocks, because there are a lot of women out there. Like I went to go and drop my son to a play date the other day, and it was a sort of about a 30-minute drive from home, but it was in a valley sort of out over the off the back of Hastings, and it was on a block that was quite rural, and talking to the dad there, they have issues with internet, and yet it's only just a stone's throw from two major cities. So throughout, you don't actually have to be far from a main centre to actually find that you have shared issues that you need support with, or which is, really, really intriguing.
I think that there are some causes that are common to rural women and their urban sisters. Certainly, when you look at issues like domestic violence, that cuts across all social parameters and doesn't matter where you live. Although scarily, the incidence of domestic violence is slightly higher in rural settings. And I think that there are some of those issues that are common, but there are also some that are very specific to rural. And you mentioned connectivity. That's a real problem for a lot of our members, and occasionally we have to phone our president. We have to wait until she's climbed a hill to get cell phone coverage to be able to call us back. It can be very dodgy from time to time.
Yeah, and that's, and those are things that you take for granted in town. Like you were saying off here before we went live, what was it? 1/3 of your members don't have internet access.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems unheard of, doesn't it?
Yeah. We still send stuff out to them by mail 4 times a year. So at the moment, we're in the process of looking about how we meld the available technology now, because Zoom and Skype and this podcast, for instance, offer us way new mediums to be in contact with our members, but we have to be mindful of those that are living rurally, because the reality is that their services haven't improved. And if anything, things like postage and access to bank services have diminished in recent years.
Yeah. And, one of the things that was really interesting during COVID, because, this is how these diaries started, was as a way for me to keep in touch with our people during COVID lockdown. And one of the things that we talked about, and I know my friend was really busy doing during that time, was setting up a phone tree. And so tell us about that, because I just think that was a fantastic initiative that you did.
Very early on in the COVID days. So, of course, we had to evacuate our national office. We're based in Wellington. So we went home. We were working from home, but very early on, we asked all of our leadership team, we have 7 regions around the country, to be in touch with all of our members and check what they might need, especially our older members, who, of course, were one of the most vulnerable groups during COVID. So they did this by a variety of ways. Some places were able to set up new electronic online forms, but a lot of it was by telephone tree. And also a lot of it was by dropping notes in letterboxes with some baking. Just all of those it was a meld of the traditional and the modern. Yeah,
which I think is just brilliant. That's one of the things with rural communities. I think that's what sets a lot of rural communities apart, is that particularly the more isolated they are, the more tight-knit they tend to be. But I think that there's a lot of growth, particularly with what I call semi-rural living now. A lot of people do live on lifestyle blocks and may not have considered an organisation like this appropriate for them, but in actuality, it really is. And particularly those for working. You talked about before, the business awards, and there are a lot of women who are involved with business. I know that we spin for a lady here, a hippie, who do the blankets and stuff from the Wairarapa. That's Kate's doing some amazing work with that. She, creating that from scratch. There are some really incredible businesses out there, aren't there?
Absolutely, and I think that we've really seen a resurgence of that over COVID with the New Zealand-made Facebook site. Just all of a sudden people were invigorated and sharing their work and what had probably been their side project. And it's amazing to see. And that's the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that we really like to help along in rural communities. In my opinion, there's never been a better time to support and celebrate rural enterprises.
Yeah. So for us here during lockdown, one of the things that we had was a lot of people picked up the knitting needles for the first time in a long time. And I have these incredible samples here. This is something that I know I've been working with you guys for a number of months. And I have all these incredible and beautiful Fingerless gloves, beanies. In fact, I almost need the fingerless gloves today. I'm sitting in the side room in here and it's about 5 degrees. It's freezing. There's no heating in here, but it's the kind of place that I can go without customers going, can I have this? And these are absolutely stunning, all made with these with Southlander and Perrindale. So tell everybody about this initiative because I love it. I just think it's wonderful.
So rural women have had a long heritage of using wool and loving wool. You know, it comes from the rural beginnings. I look at those beanies. I love those beanies.
I love these beanies.
So we looked for a way to combine all of those existing wool-based initiatives, which have been going for years. You know, rural women have been knitting to fundraise. They've been knitting as a charitable giveaway. They've been knitting or making things in competitions. We still have a wool competition. So we were looking at bringing all of those things together and adding something new for those that wish to be part of it. And so we came up with Project Warmth. So that encompasses all those existing projects and introduces a new one. So we decided that we would take our corporate colours and we would put a series of patterns online and we would ask our members to make things in these colours. And if they were in these colours in one of the patterns, then we would brand them as Rural Women New Zealand. And so I've got here a little cloth label.
Yeah, I know, these are gorgeous.
And they get branded with it. So it's also a way of spreading the word and saying, here's another thing, here's another bow to our string. Now, string to a bow. Yeah. So, yeah, they're gorgeous. They're really lovely. And so we've got members all over the country knitting up a storm in our colours and sharing it with the world out there.
Oh, they just want. So how? Because I mean, these are utterly brilliant. How are they distributed? How do you get them out?
Each region maintains its independence as to how they might want to do that. They might want to have them as a giveaway. So, for instance, I know one region has been making things to go in drought relief packs for the Hawke's Bay. Another area might make things to give to a hospital or homeless shelter. They might want to have a competition amongst themselves, friendly, of course, knitting needles at dawn. And some may want to sell them or use them as promo items at AMP shows. So it's up to each region as to how they do that.
Which is really nice, actually, because if you're knitting within your region, it's actually quite specific to you. Because, I mean, obviously in areas further south, there'd be a greater need because things are much cooler. But if you were in Rural Women in Matakana, for example, it might, you know, be a great way to fundraise for a local hospice. So that's actually brilliant. I think that's a really, really good idea. We've got a whole load of us today. There's actually a lot of people in the chat, which is great. I've got Louise here. She's from Ashburton, and she said she's been a member for 43 years.
Hi, Louise.
Hi, Louise. Thank you. And if anyone's got any questions, do make sure that you pop them in there. I see now actually Tamsin's just jumped up. I see I can out you now, Tamsin. Tamsin is the friend. Tamsin is who introduced me to Rural Women here, and she's saying the samples that I have, which I'm showing you here, are part of the collective hug for the Hawke's Bay drought reliefs. There you go. So if people are actually out there and interested in joining what's happening with Rural Women, how do they go about doing that? How do they get in touch?
Well, they can contact us through our website, which is ruralwomennz.nz, or they can phone us at our national office and we can put them in touch or help them get in touch with our local regions, because the country is divided into 7 regions. And within those regions, they have their own little structures and do different things in different places. So we'd be more than happy for people to be in touch with lots of new members.
Yay! And how much? And so, what is the sort of cost involved for people if they wanted to get in touch and join?
Our membership subs are some of the lowest in the country. It's $50 per annum.
Wow!
Including GST.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And for that you get an awful lot. You have connections in our network. You get to participate in our events that we have throughout the year. We just, of course, got the business awards on. We have a nice big party in November to hand those out. You get to have your say on things that are really important, like environmental concerns. We regularly make submissions about health, education, welfare issues. so you can be part of that decision-making process as well. And also some people just join for companionship.
Yeah.
So some of our groups meet together for that. There are a couple that, say, for instance, there's one that's a dinner group and they meet once a month for dinner, and that's what their thing is. And others do separate things. We have things that are linked to our worldwide organisation, which is the Associated Countries, ACWW, Women of the World. And they, just trying to remember that one. But we also linked into them. So this organisation is part of an international network with 8 million members.
Yeah, well, I know that I've met a number here where Tamsin's brought them to the shop before when they've had get-togethers, like some regional, gatherings, and it's, there is definitely that social element. Now, so there are a number of people like me, for example. Would someone like me be able to join even though I'm not rural anymore, but I sort of still feel rural at heart?
The membership criteria is that you have to have some connection to rural. You can be a supporter of rural. You don't have to be living rurally to be a member. And in fact, there are quite a few members in the cities. It's about having the empathy with the aims and objectives of the organisation.
Yeah, so this is actually a really, really nice way for those like me who have been raised as rural to actually get those connections back together and actually get back in touch, with those things that we remember from when we grew up. No, that's really fantastic. Thank you so much for this, Lisa. This has been great because there are so many that we reach so many people, not only here in New Zealand but also around the world. And I think it's just a really great way for actually forging those connections. And I think organisations like Rural Women did so much work behind the scenes at COVID that there's so much that goes on that people just don't see. And so many organisations, and Rural Women is one of them. You just you don't sort of don't necessarily get out there and beat the pot and say this is what we're doing. You actually just get out there and do it. And I think that's part of that rural ethos, isn't it? So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. Well, thank you, Lisa. So this is Lisa. I'm going to actually jump on and talk about some other bits and pieces. You're more than welcome to hang around if you'd like, Lisa. Okay. So and I'm so sorry, everybody, honestly, I have been so disorganised. And do you knit, Lisa?
Sadly, no. My mother had my grandmother had a couple of very frustrating experiences, but I am a massive fan of wool.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So it's, and wool, this is the interesting thing with wool now. I think there is some really great work being done with wool, and it's, oopsie, sorry, I'm just picking stitches up off my thing that have just fallen down. There you go, Tamsin. I think that could be, that could be a good job for you, teaching Lisa how to knit. Now, I have to say to everybody, yes, I still haven't gotten around to drawing the Speakeasy prizes. I am so sorry. I'm keeping the binge theme going only because I'm not very, very organised. However, I have actually organised next month's prize. Go me. And I'm just pulling that together now, and it is going to be, I haven't quite figured out the theme for that yet, but it doesn't matter. I am going to, for next month, so not June, but for July. June's going to be the same as May and April because everything's bonkers. We are going to give away a maiden pack. And if you haven't seen Maiden yet from Lisa Thompson, it's her new design. I'm going to pull together a maiden pack in Sock Petition edition or Southland Sport, whatever you would prefer, to actually give that away. I think that would be absolutely delicious. And there's been plenty of work also being done, I know, for people working on Goldwing, and I see Lisa was in here before. She's finished hers. It looks amazing. She's also done hers in Sock Petition edition in Milk and Featherstone, and it looks absolutely stunning. I finally got my knitting mojo back last week. It had gone on holiday for a few weeks, but it's back now. And I have really cracked on with mine, and I wanted to show this to you because I'm really delighted with how it's going. I'm just going to pull it up so you can see it. Look at that. So I'm really pleased with how this is knitting up. It's looking absolutely amazing. So that is the Southlander oatmeal. and of course the County Effect Garten from County. Now, if you're wanting to get this County, I am going to pop a link in for people because I had people ask, and I did actually check on their website that they had some, and they do. I get that from Yarns, which is in Wellington. And it's looking like I'm only going to need a single ball to do mine, which is using the colour at the top. So it's so far going really, really well. And if you remember when I spoke to Ethan, and in fact, we have this lovely chap, Lisa, called Ethan, and Ethan is works for Outlaw Yarn, which is down in Christchurch. And what he doesn't know, he's incredible actually. He's he's got a huge amount of technical knowledge. And he is a prolific knitter, and he does a lot of colour work knitting. And so him and I do a regular chat, and we discussed, so the one thing we discussed, for those that remember, is we were talking about those increases. And I did actually do the increase how she had it written, and he was explaining the difference between the what they call this in-between invisible increase. And I have to say, and he's right, it's not completely invisible, but as you could possibly see there, sitting in between those two leaves, you can sort of just see it slightly there. It does, I have to say, help with the tensioning, and it doesn't pull things away from the stitch either side in the colour work. So I can now see the logic. I didn't quite see the logic to begin with, but I can now see the logic at why she has gone and done that. So I'm at the stage now where, oh gosh, and I've just gone and done that. Oh, I see where that's come from. Put that there so it doesn't get lost. So I'm at the stage now, I'm in my final lot of increasing, and I've probably got about, I think, 6 or 8 rows of colour work to do, and then I've finished the yoke portion, and then the colour work will be finished for the body, and then I'll be starting to head down the sleeve. So I'm hoping to actually get the colour work actually finished tonight. So when I catch up with you on Thursday, with any luck, I would have gotten to the point where I've separated from body and sleeves, and I'll be heading into the sleeve portion, which will be great. That's what I'm really looking forward to. If you did not catch up the restocks that I put up, I did put some restocks up over the weekend just on Facebook, and I'll be doing a huge big mail out today. We had a whole lot of stock arrive at the end of last week, and Trevor has just arrived this morning from the mill with an absolute truckload, literally a truckload of stock from the mill. And in there, I noted there were about 3 or 4 Perrindale colours, as well as some more merino soft. There was also some sock petition. A huge amount has come in this morning. So with any luck, that will all be receipted by the end of the day today. But I will actually include what those stocks are in tonight's, this afternoon's email. So do look out for that email in your inbox. And we're also going to be doing something for Naked Skeinz for the rest of the month. So if you're looking at getting some Naked Skeinz, just wait until I get that out, because there'll be something happening with that as well. What else did I have to tell you? I know I had something else to tell you, and I can't remember what it was. No, it's gone. I'll tell you on Thursday. Lisa, thank you very, very much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for coming and seeing us this morning. I promise I will be back on Thursday and feeling a little bit better again. Thank you, Tam, for dropping these in and keeping my fingers warm. And again, I will make sure I will get the Rural Women details, and I will pop those in the comments for this live video, or in the comments over on YouTube, so you can go and check out Rural Women New Zealand. And if you think that you've got a little bit of country girl in you at heart and you want to join, they sure as well will welcome you. So take care, and I will see everybody again on Thursday.
Bye. Thank you.